Let me guess, you took one look at this game's UI and ran for the hills. Because let's be honest, at first glance, some games look like they were designed by accountants for other accountants. Tabs, stats, icons you don't understand, and menus stacked on menus. It's overwhelming, it's ugly at times, and for most people, it's an instant turnoff. But for a certain type of player, this is heaven. Because in reality, all games are considered nerdy these days, but there are certain games that end up topping this list. And yet, these nerdy games are actually the most fun to play. There's a reason people sink thousands of hours into games like World of Warcraft, Baldur's Gate, or even RimWorld. It's not because they're easy to pick up. It's because these games offer something most modern games don't: depth. We're talking about systems stacked on systems. A web of mechanics that feels more like an ecosystem than an actual game. The kind of design that rewards not just skill, but almost obsession. The complexity of nerdy games isn't just a feature, it's the foundation of how they're built. They don't ease you in gently. They don't care if you bounce after the first few hours. Because what they offer isn't immediate gratification, it's long-term engagement. These games aren't content with giving you a storyline or just a handful of mechanics. They give you everything. Politics, economics, logistics, survival, construction, diplomacy, it's all there, layered like a 7-course meal, except it's served all at once. Yes, it's daunting. The depth can feel like a wall at times. But behind that wall is a playground where every decision matters, every system interlocks, and the possibilities are borderline infinite. Where other games might give you 10 hours of fun, these give you 10 years of mastery. It's not about ease, it's about richness. And once you push through the noise and the learning curve, the sheer variety of things to explore makes most other games feel, well, shallow by comparison. Simulation games and MMOs thrive on this. You can spend an entire weekend just redesigning your city's zoning to reduce rush hour traffic, or min-maxing your crafting profession to corner a market, or maybe you just think it's cool. Where other people might despise the idea of grinding for progression, nerdy games almost force you to grind, and you take it in stride, because you know the payoff is far greater than what any other game can provide. You like grinding in this game, mainly because you love playing it, and you have so many hours, it's pretty fun for you, in a weird way. But it's not just the mechanics, it's the people who live in these worlds. Nerdy games create cultures, fandoms that aren't just enthusiastic, but obsessed. Entire communities built around dissecting, optimizing, and celebrating these complex systems. In MMOs, players create functioning economies and political alliances that span real-world years. In simulation games, modders act like digital architects, expanding systems, fixing bugs, and breathing life into old code. You'll find forums older than some players, wikis that read like textbooks, and a player base that isn't just playing the game, they're almost documenting history. The best part? These communities become a part of the game itself. Tips evolve into tutorials, mods turn into total overhauls, and the culture around a game can sometimes become more engaging than the game itself. These games don't nibble at your free time, they almost devour it, and you love them for it. You'll start a session meaning to tweak just one thing. 5 hours later, you're knee-deep in a total system overhaul, wondering how it's 3 AM. But here's the difference. The time doesn't just feel wasted, it almost feels invested. You're not grinding just for numbers to go up, you're learning how things work. You're building something uniquely yours. And that's why players rack up thousands of hours. Not out of obligation, but almost out of fascination, out of obsession, or even out of addiction. You don't just play these games, you inhabit them. They become part of your life, something you talk about, dream about, maybe even schedule your day around. In a way, these games are like mirrors. They reflect how you think, how you solve problems, how you manage chaos. And the longer you play, the more you see yourself in the systems. One genre of games you might not consider nerdy is sports games. Except for one, and I have an insane amount of hours in a game called Football Manager. Now, unlike a game like FIFA, for instance, Football Manager takes every aspect of managing a team to the next level. There is no just controlling your players or playing the game with your controller. Instead, you're doing everything else. You're planning, you're scouting players, adjusting tactics, poring over heat maps and data sets like a real-world coach would, managing the transfers and finances of a club anywhere in the world. Every minute detail is considered in this game. Even the game's UI is pretty basic. It's just a screen with a lot of different tabs and things to look at. For a player just starting, it's pretty overwhelming, honestly. There's so many things that you're looking to discover, and the game certainly doesn't babysit you. The world is your oyster in the game, but if you don't know what you're doing, it can feel like a lot. The game is basically just a giant spreadsheet, which is about as nerdy as it gets, and I love it. I can see why people think it's nuts and boring and whatever you wish to call it. But when you're managing a glorified spreadsheet, as we'll call it, scouting a random prospect from Thailand for your Slovak First Division club, and looking up the clock and seeing 7 hours have passed and it feels like you've barely played, barely progressed in the game so far, that, my dear friend, is a game you love. And it's a game that gets you addicted, where you go to bed thinking about the game and wake up thinking about what you're going to do in your next season. There's so many different ways to play, so many places to visit, so many things that you can critique or tweak or optimize to make it uniquely yours. And other sports games don't have this. Football Manager is by far the most in-depth sports game out there because it focuses on one thing and does it so in-depth that it feels overwhelming. But when you get into it and once you understand everything, man, there's so many things to do and there's so many things to explore that it is so fun to play. And then there's World of Warcraft, the gateway drug to the nerdcore gaming universe, if you will. For many, WoW was the first taste of a game that didn't just ask you to play, it almost asked you to live in its world. World of Warcraft isn't just a social phenomenon, it's almost a masterclass in layered design. It's a world that rewards curiosity. Every zone, dungeon, and raid is packed with mechanics that invite you to go deeper. Mastering your class is just the beginning. Then comes gear optimization, theory crafting, talent trees, cooldown rotations, and situational awareness in raids, for instance. And when you're not fighting, you're still progressing. Professions like blacksmithing and alchemy create entire side economies. Reputation grinds unlock powerful items and story arcs. Even the auction house is its own metagame. There's PvE and PvP, solo content and group coordination, questing, exploration, crafting, farming, mount collecting, achievement hunting. Every playstyle is valid in these types of games, and each opens up a different slice of the world. Yes, the social aspect of WoW amplifies everything, but the depth? That's what keeps players coming back. Because no matter how long you've been playing, there's always another layer to peel back. There's always a new character or class to build. Even now, people are still playing, not just out of nostalgia, but because that world still matters to them. And for many, it's not just about playing a character, it's about returning to a second home. You don't just casually play these games, you commit to them. They're not designed to be easy, they're designed to be deep. And for those willing to dive in, that depth becomes addictive. Not in a cheap dopamine farming way, but in a way that feeds your curiosity, your creativity, your desire to master something insanely complex. And that's what makes them so fun. No instruction manual, no walkthrough that feels too linear. You have so many things to explore that the game feels like it's designed to make you play thousands of hours to actually feel like you got the most out of it. There's no set time limit for these games, only what you can squeeze out of them. And there is a lot, let me tell you. So yeah, maybe they look nerdy, maybe they are nerdy, but sometimes the nerdiest games are the best games. Because once you find the signal in the noise, it's hard to go back to anything else. So go out there, enjoy your favorite game for whatever it is, and never stop losing track of time in those addicting games. But definitely don't look at your hours played, because it might scare you a little bit. Thanks for watching.